Good morning, and thank you for leaving your dials locked on your radio experience. You can count on Eagles 102.3. And you're on to Eagles Outlook. At this time, we would be talking about cashing on the Electoral Act 2022. The president has signed the bill over the weekend, and it brought a lot of excitement to Nigerians. While some Nigerians excited at the signing of the bill, some are also concerned about the fact that the president was particular about the amendment of Clause 84 of the Act. Now, as it is, the president says, well, we need to rework that part of the act so that we can get into it, so that we can have it working. But then some Nigerians and even the civil society group are saying, well, let's leave that. Let's leave the bill or the act, that piece of legislation the way it is. There's no need for amendments. We'll be talking about all that this morning with our guest, Haruna Kabir Alfa, who is the publisher and former acting editor, Concern magazine. He is a national president, APC National Youth Vanguard, and that's one of the support groups that has supported the party since inception. He's going to be joining us in the conversation. But before we get into the conversation full swing, let's see trending news stories. And in trending news stories this morning, almost a month after the scarcity of premium motor spirits threw the country into an energy crisis, indications emerged that the situation may go from bad to worse as prices at the pump rose to over 300 naira per litre in some filling stations across the country, especially those owned by independent marketers. Although the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited had said that 2.3 billion litres of additional premium motor spirit were being imported into the country to complement existing 1 billion litres as part of measures to address fuel scarcity. However, it was gathered that most marketers, especially depot owners who had made payment for products since December last year, were yet to receive the consignment. And bandits have attacked over 10 communities in Niger State and killed 8 persons, abducted a bride, and left several others injured. The gunmen, who were said to have numbered over 100, invaded the communities in Lavon local government area of the state, according to a resident of the Ndako Gitu community who spoke on condition of anonymity. The bandits also attacked a wedding ceremony where they abducted the bride and another girl. The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities on Sunday said it would soon down tools and shut down universities because of the failure of the federal government to implement the memorandum of action it signed with the union. SANU said it had been reluctant to resume its suspended strike because of its effect on students, university education, and parents, regretting that the federal government is forcing the union to down tools. It also said it was ready to present the federal government the university's peculiar personal payment system, which is expected to replace the integrated payroll and personal information system. And now to part of our talking point. The lead up to President Muhammadu Buhari's ascent to the long-awaited Electoral Act 2022 was attended by protests. The aftermath doesn't appear to have ushered in much quiet either, as some civil society groups have kicked against the proposed amendment of Section 84 of the Electoral Act 2022. We're joined in this morning to discuss the issue by Haruna Kabir Alfa, who is a former publisher and former publisher and former acting editor of Concern magazine. He is a member of the national president of the APC National Youth Vanguard. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Haruna.
Thank you, here Nacho, and thank you, viewers and listeners.
All right, let's get to it. So let's start off by talking about, before we get to talk about the Electoral Act, I'd love to find out how it has been for you moving around the city and getting fuel. That seems to be like the biggest talking issue in the country at the moment.
Rather unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate that the fuel scarcity continue to bite harder, even as government, even the NNPC give assurances that a lot of fuel in circulation or thereabout. it is unfortunate that people are not being prosecuted for what led to this, and no hope yet, because from yesterday, 3 days, 4 days back, you've been seeing that it is a continued persistent of increase in the queue, and supposed to be after a month we're supposed to have been we'll be experiencing a little soft landing of this. Is rather unfortunate. This is unavoidable circumstances, but we hope that the government will keep to our feet, and by making sure that those who require to be on foot really do what is needful.
Now, are you concerned that this may score your party low, looking at how we're going into the 2023 elections? The primaries would be rounded off in June 2023, as according to the reviewed electoral calendar by INEC. Do you think that this could score your party low going into the 2023 elections?
Not exactly, because if you observe very carefully, you know that we have a president that is very passionate that things being done the way it is, following the due process. Like I said, government and governance is a continued process. Where we are now ought not to be, or we are supposed to be better than where we are now. It's unfortunate, but a lot of things are putting on track now to ensure that we have it done. We're just experiencing this, and like I told you, it's quite unfortunate, like a month now. And we that are very passionate about ensuring that our party continues in governance, we're on the toes to see that this thing is being taken off the street of Nigeria, so that we are experiencing a very free and flow circulation of this fuel for people to enjoy. At least this is one of the few things that we, the masses or the general population of Nigerians, enjoy as human beings or as citizens of the country. So they're supposed to be, and this thing is almost been determined by the flow of demand and supply. And what cause, actually remote cause of this, is that unfortunate circulation of the infiltrated fuel that came into country, and the government said they have been doing everything possible. We on the side of this government promoting feels that there are some people who are supposed to be prosecuted for initially having this step, and going further, we know that the party and the government will do everything possible to ensure that we have a continued circulation of fuel so that people are enjoying it.
Okay, let's talk about your party for a bit. Let's look at the APC. So we had this your party members a couple of days ago, leaders of the YPM, that's the Young Progressives Movement, Prince Aldo, coming in to talk about, that the party, in your party, the APC, the youth are winning at the moment. The youth seems to be winning. They've come a long way talking about how the youth need to be included in leadership, especially of the party. What is your position on that? What are your thoughts on that?
No doubt about it. Our party, the All Progressives Congress, have been able to, in a few days and recently, we've been able to see proper inclusion of the youth. The president, who is the leader, the national leader of the party, is passionate. Is very passionate about youth inclusion and governance, and you will notice that we just did during the present CEPCP Kiatika Committee. We had a membership revalidation and continued registered members of the party. We initially about 20 million membership, and today, due to that inclusion, we have about 42 point something going for the membership of the party. That is actually a registered member, and the large chunk of this, about 60% of this population, is being taken by the youth, and it is a welcome idea that we the youth, Nigerian youth, regardless of the party that which we fall, begins to wake up to our responsibility. We do not expect to allow these people to remain there forever. We're supposed to take charge so that while they are around, they be able to make corrections. And the new inclusion, as the Electoral Act being signed, is an opportunity for us to even key in very well as a youth, so that we begin to remove that mentality of just a member of the party than rather joining into active politics and vie into positions, so that we take helms of affairs of the country as it is required.
Now, do you think that the new Electoral Act in any way would support young people? And how do you think young people can, cash in on the Electoral Act, the new laws, to also take leadership positions, not just at party levels, but at the national level?
The new electoral act calls across the entire country, regardless of the party, and the Mr. President must be given this credit for taking this bold stand. For signing now, not that Mr. President do not have the intention to do all along. Mr. President had reservation on so many gray areas. You recall that recently the National Assembly brought the bill for assignment, Mr. President, where there was a clause for a mandatory section for all political parties to operate a particular way of selecting who becomes who in the party. That is ensuring that no consensus, only a direct primary, only a one motive for opera. And Mr. President, in his own wisdom, observed that no, the clause should not mandate political parties should have their own internal mechanism for bringing out who becomes what in their party. So going forward, this man should be given a credit for as being a listening president. At the end of the day, the Electoral Act is signed. It is now an advantage for us with the youth to key in and, like I said earlier, to go vie into positions that galvanize our support, because the system is now a little bit liberalized for people to come in and vie for position, buy forms and go in. We have an advantage in the Electoral Act. I think there's a place for now the INEC now have the power to do polling unit electronic direct release of results. These are places where we used to have challenges. And,
please hold that. Let's bring in a caller quickly. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Lost connection with that one. All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Now we have that, and again another fantastic area to be concerned about. Is this where INEC is being forced or under duress to release results? This thing is now going to be taken care of. We now have a new law or a new act that speculates or that guarantees that INEC can revisit in such areas where results are released or announced under duress. So all these things are better with the youth, regardless of the political party where we come from. Fantastically, the opposition party brought the national leader of the party as a very young and vibrant youth, and it is a hope that our own party, the All Progressives Congress, we key into that process. What we want in the party or in the country is to have as many as possible vibrant Nigerian youth to go into active politics, so that when we meet at the crossroad, is either regardless of the political party, when we are convinced that this is a vibrant youth that will take us across the country, we're going to go in regardless of where we come from.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us on your radio experience. You can count on the conversation continues. The numbers to call to be a part of it are 09073530044 and 09087668888. Hello, good morning.
Morning once again, my dear brother. Mayo on the line.
Mayo, it's good to have you.
Good morning. Yes, good morning to your guest. I listened to him. He was saying that everything he had said, he was taking Mr. President for everything with regards to the Electoral Act. He has not praised the National Assembly of their wisdom to put all those things together, because I remember that it was not an executive bill. What is the involvement of Mr. President on him that is taking him for every point on the act? Mr. President only signed in line with the constitutional provision. But the people that did the work should be praised. It's not here to just come and be singing praises. That is not what we want. Tell us how this electoral act is going to benefit the youth, influence them to join political party and participate in the governance in Nigeria. I think that's what I'm expecting. Instead of every minute is facing Mr. President for what he did not do. Thank you.
All right, Mayowa, thank you very much for calling. Before you respond to Mayowa's thoughts, the conversation continues.
Abuja.
Let's spice up your day. Tune in to a breath of fresh air. It's all fun and games until it gets extra and better. 102.3 Extra, weekdays 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with Olije. Cheers to something new.
Eagles Morning Rise. Eagles Morning Rise with
Prince.
And the time is 19 minutes past 9 o'clock. You're on to Eagles Outlook on your radio experience. You can count on Eagles 102.3. This morning, we're cashing in on the Electoral Act signed by the President just over the weekend. Our guest this morning is Haruna Kabir Alfa, who is publisher and former acting editor, Concern magazine. He is a national president of the APC National Youth Vanguard. Now, before we took that pause, Mayo asked the question. He says, well, how come you're not giving so much credit to the National Assembly who did all the work and made sure that we have such an act, rather just, just talking about the president who only assented to the bill?
Mayo, pardon my manners. It is very, very good. The National Assembly has done a very fantastic job, and they must be credited for that. However, we have somebody who is a driver who initiated the political will. Mr. President, having come from the background of someone who have run for this office for about 3 times before giving, he has seen it all. Having walked through the valley of the shadow of that transition, so he knows that more than every other person that we need indeed a reformation or an adjustment in the Electoral Act. So I give credit to the National Assembly for have done that fantastic job, and we must give that credit again for that man who allowed the political will that this became into limelight.
Now, let's quickly, we're still talking about the youth. As a youth leader in your party, we have a situation where in most political parties, you have several youth groups. We have the national youth leader of the party, but then there's several youth groups. And don't you think that would, what do you call it now, decentralize the voices of the youth? We're talking about, having a situation where in Nigeria, young people can have a voice and be able to speak in one voice. Don't you think that this further, divides the youth rather than bring them together?
Absolutely not. It is even a welcome idea. When we liberalize the system or allow the participants to, like a competition, we allow key players to come in. The support groups of the party, regardless of the party, were APC or PDP, like in our party, we have a number of support groups. That do not say we, the youth, will not speak in one voice. No, absolutely all the support groups in the youth cathedral will fall under the office of the national youth leader of the party. And some support groups have their criteria. Some are mobilization, some are sensitization, some are some are women and youth support groups. So it is important that we have as many as possible. For God's sake, the party is a very big party, so we do not want a situation whereby just one man will be speaking for the voice, but where we have a collection of support groups who are making significant contribution to the party. At the round table, they will have their own voices added to decision making in the party, so they'll be like a critical stakeholder of the party. So it is not a setback, it is rather part of the progressive the nature that the APC has brought into limelight for Nigeria. And you agree with me that it is in this dispensation that we have as many as youth in active participation of politics across state. We have state governors who have given 80%, 60%, 40%, and some have even considered women. I can stay for free that in my state